Yes, ma'am. Nope. Can you help? Thanks, Antonio. All right. So it's from 8 to 1. Just come in if you can.
Nice chatting.
I'm gonna talk.
Good afternoon. I am Mr. Crane. I am the Scoutmaster for Troop 310, and I would like to welcome all of you to our Eagle Court of Honor, honoring Evan Prentice, Alex Prentice, Spencer Crabb, and Ryan Stanke. Mr. Bartos, Mr. Bartos will be our Master of Ceremonies today, and I now declare this Eagle Court of Honor in session. Ozzy, will you please present the colors?
Color guard, attention. May the audience please rise. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, prepare to present the colors. Present the colors. Scout hand salute. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge. Two. Color guard, bow. Face. Approach the colors. Hand salute. Two. Color guard, bow.
Hi, my name is Pat Bartos, and I'd like to welcome all the scouts, scouters, and friends of scouting and family to this Eagle Court of Honor. If you haven't already done so, could you please take a moment to silence your cell phones? This Court of Honor is an occasion for pride and joy, as well as a time for serious reflection. The Eagle rank is the highest rank that Scouting offers. Only a small percentage of boys who join Scouting earn this honor. The wearer of the Eagle Award is the epitome of Scouting's best efforts and beliefs. Today, we have the pleasure of celebrating the accomplishments of Evan Prentice, Alex Prentice, Spencer Crabb, and Ryan Stanke. They join the company of all the Eagle Scouts who have gone before them. Before we begin, is Mr. Lauren Joner here? Yes. Excellent, thank you. Will you please come forward and deliver the invocation?
Let's please bow with me in prayer. Father God, thank you for the ability to be here on a Saturday afternoon to celebrate Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan, and the effort that these young men have put forth to use the gifts that you've given them in the service of others. And so as we go through this ceremony today, we celebrate with them and reflect on the goodness that you provided to them and ask that you would be glorified through their efforts and through this ceremony. In the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. The presentation of the Eagle rank is an important and serious matter. For the Eagle candidate, this is the climax in his scouting efforts as a youth. The attainment of this rank is made possible through the assistance of many people in this room: his scoutmasters, troop leaders, fellow scouts, parents, family, and community members. Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan have distinguished themselves through their continued performance of service in scouting. They are trained and practiced in their leadership abilities, and they are marked by the character trait gained through an understanding of citizenship and their religious beliefs. Will Connor Peinenberg and Zach Emmel please come forward and present John Wayne's explanation of the Scout Law?
This candle represents the spirit of scouting, a spirit which burns brightly in the heart of every scout. Let us renew our spirit by reminding ourselves of the meaning of the Scout Law. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Nice words. Trouble is, we learn them, and we sometimes don't get all the understanding that goes with them. As we recite the part of the law, I will break down the meaning of each with John Wayne's interpretation.
A scout is trustworthy.
The badge of honesty, having it let you look at any man straight in the eye. Lacking it, he won't look back. Keep it at the top of your list.
A scout is thrifty.
The very word is life itself, for without any loyalty, we have no love of person or country.
A scout is helpful.
Part of sharing, part of caring. By helping each other, we help ourselves, not to mention mankind. Be always full of help, the dying man's last word.
A scout is friendly.
Brotherhood is part of that word. You can take it in a lot of directions, and do, but make sure and start with brotherhood.
A scout is courteous.
Allow each person his human dignity, which means a lot more than you saying, "Yes, ma'am," and "Thank you, sir." It reflects an attitude that later in your life you'll wish you honored more earlier in life. Save yourself that problem and do it now.
A scout is kind.
The one word that should stop wars and erase hatred. But it is like your bicycle. It is no good unless you get out and use it.
A scout is obedient.
Start at home, practice it on your family, enlarge it to your friends, and share it with humanity.
A scout is cheerful.
Anyone can put on a happy face when the going is good. He smiles whenever he can. His obedience to orders is prompt and cheery. He never shirks or grumbles at hardships.
A scout is thrifty.
Means a lot more than putting pennies away, and it's the opposite of cheap. Common sense covers it just about as well as anything.
A scout is brave.
You don't have to fight to be brave. Millions of good, fine, decent folks show more bravery than heavyweight champs just by getting out of bed every morning, going out to do a good day's work, and living the best life they know how against all odds. Brave. Keep the word handy every day of your life.
A scout is clean.
Soap and water help a lot on the outside, but it's the inside that counts, and don't ever forget it.
Scout is reverent.
Believe in anything you want to believe in, but keep God at the top of it. With Him, life can be a beautiful experience. Without Him, you're just biding time.
Thank you, Connor and Zach. Would Josh Olson and Kellen Hartnett please come forward and recite the Scout Oath?
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty.
You promise to give it all you got. When you've got something to do the job, to meet the responsibilities.
To guard my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times.
Duty first to God, to your country, and to your family. Obey it completely, not halfway, for all 12 points of the Scout law.
Keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Just as it states, keep yourself strong, alert in thought, actions, words, decide what is right and what is wrong, and stand by right.
Thank you, Josh and Kellen. Will Ed Prentice please come forward and read the Eagle poem?
The voice of the eagle. I am the eagle. I am prepared to stand for the virtues of freedom, strength, and pride. I am the eagle. I am prepared to serve my God, my country, and other people. I am the eagle. I am prepared to stand for honesty, truth, and integrity. I am the eagle. I am prepared to lead others to accomplish set tasks to the best of my ability. I am the eagle. I am prepared to defend what makes America great for all people. I am the eagle. I am prepared to cross all lines of race, creed, and nationality. I am the eagle. I am prepared to be self-reliant and resourceful. I am the eagle. I am prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Prentice. The rank of Eagle Scout is the highest and most coveted rank in Scouting, and it's the last major step in the advancement program. These men began as 7-year-olds in Cub Scouts and have climbed the ranks of Scouting with diligence and perseverance. At this time, I'd like to ask Troop 310's current Scoutmaster, Mr. Paul Crane, to please come forward and present the obligation of an Eagle Scout.
Thank you. The Eagle's first obligation is to live with honor. He is a marked man, a leader for good, for ill. People will follow the example he sets. He would sooner give up anything than in his reputation and good name. As Shakespeare said, "Mine honor is my life, both grown in one. Take honor from me, and my life is done." The white of the Eagle badge represents honor. The second obligation of the Eagle Scout is to be loyal. As a follower, he promised to be loyal to those above him. He is now a leader. He must also be loyal to those below him, treating them as he would want to be treated. And he must also be loyal to his ideals, not letting others sway him from his course. The blue of the Eagle badge represents loyalty. The Eagle Scout's third obligation is to be courageous. Stepping into a new role as a leader, he will face many challenges and obstacles. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what a ship was meant for. The Eagle must have the courage to do what is right, no matter what other people say or do. The red of the Eagle badge represents courage. The fourth obligation of an Eagle Scout is to serve others, for a leader is above all a servant. The practice of the daily good turn leads the Eagle to a lifetime of service. He knows that only in giving himself does he give anything of value. Just as always has, the scroll on the badge represents service. The final obligation of the Eagle Scout is to have vision. As a leader, he must now blaze his own trail. Just as the bald eagle soaring high above the ground can look far into the distance, so must an Eagle Scout look far into the future. Many people will follow him. Only with vision will he lead them into the right direction. The silver eagle, hanging from the badge, reminds the Eagle Scout of vision. These are the obligations of the Eagle Scout: honor, loyalty, courage, service, and vision. With these qualities in place, he can lead his troop, crew, community, and his nation toward a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. Will Mr. Pete Crabb please come forward and explain to us what happens to a scout?
What happens to a scout? For every 100 boys who join scouting, records indicate the following. Rarely will one be brought before the juvenile court system. 4 will become Eagle Scouts. 17 will become future scouting volunteers. 12 will have their first contact with a church, synagogue, or mosque through scouting. 1 will enter the ministry. 5 will earn their Face Religious Award. 18 will develop a hobby that will last through their adult life. 8 will enter a vocation that was learned through the Merit Badge program. 1 will use his scouting skills to save his own life. 1 will use his scouting skills to save the life of another. 2 of the 100 will later say he values his Eagle Badge above his college degree. Scouts also account for 64% of the Air Force Academy graduates, 68% of the West Point graduates, 70% of Annapolis graduates, 72% of Rhodes Scholars, 85% of FBI agents, 26 of the first 29 astronauts. Today we honor 4 Scouts and 100. We know the things they have done in the past. Imagine what they do in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Crabb. You may be seated. Mr. Crane, will you please come forward and convene the National Court of Honor?
By the authority vested in me as a representative of the Cascade Pacific Council and the National Council of Boy Scouts of America, I declare this Court of Honor to be convened. The Scouting movement constitutes one of the most wholesome and significant influences in the world today. Many successful, well-known persons are Eagle Scouts, a former president of the United States, a film director whose films have won worldwide acclaim, most of the original astronauts, and several outstanding sports personalities. The Eagle candidates whose efforts culminate this afternoon in the presentation of the Eagle Badge have labored long to enter this brotherhood. They will assume even greater responsibilities to the ideals of honor and service. When they pledge themselves on their sacred honor, they will be sealing their loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout with the words that close the Declaration of Independence. Mr. Bartos, I now turn this National Eagle Court of Honor over to you.
Thank you. Now I'd like the Honor Guard to please escort to the front Life Scouts Ryan Stanky, Spencer Crabb, Alex Prentice, and Evan Prentice. Thank you, Honor Guard. All along the trail of achievement, your Scoutmasters have given you advice and encouragement. I call upon your Scoutmaster to vouch for you tonight. Sir, before presenting your Scouts Eagle Award, we would like to have your assurance that Evan Prentice, Alex Prentice, Spencer Crabb, and Ryan Stanky have been faithful in serving their troop, in giving leadership to its Scouts, in practicing the principles of the Scout Oath and Law, and in practicing the good turn in their daily lives. Based on these qualifications, are your Scouts entitled to the honor the Eagle Badge represents?
Yes, they have the qualities that reflect the honor of the Eagle Badge.
Eagle candidates, Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan, what promise did you take when you became a Scout? Very good. Is there any reason why you should not renew that promise now? Then I ask you now to please give the Scout Oath as you rededicate yourself to its principles. You have just recommitted yourself to the principles of the Scout Oath. You now have a new, more intense obligation to your church, your community, and your troop. The knowledge you have gained in all areas of scouting will better enable you to be prepared for the future and its challenges. The Scout motto of "Be Prepared" now takes on special meaning. Before the Eagle Award is bestowed upon you, I'm going to ask the Honor Guard to escort your mothers and fathers to your side. Honor Guard. Eagle candidates, your mother and father have undoubtedly been a primary source of help in your Scout obligations. They will help you carry the standards of your award to the highest peaks of attainment, since the very best is expected of an Eagle Scout in exemplary conduct, character, achievement, and leadership ability. I'm going to ask your mother and father, who have stood by you so loyally, to pledge their willingness to continue to help you. Mr. and Mrs. Prentice, Mr. and Mrs. Crabb, Mr. and Mrs. Stanky, do you agree to continue to help your sons so that they may grow in character and those leadership qualities that an Eagle Scout should have?
We do.
Thank you. I've been both an assistant scoutmaster and a scoutmaster for this troop, and I can say that the scoutmaster is definitely a lot more work. It's hard to put into words the efforts and all of the devotion and patience and perseverance that it takes to bring scouts forward to this point. And it's only fitting that a scoutmaster should be able to reap in some of the rewards, and tonight we have that reward of being able to recognize you guys as Eagle Scouts. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the Scoutmaster, Mr. Crane, for the presentation of the award.
Life Scout, Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan. You are finally at the point where you've been waiting for. Having confirmed all readiness for receiving this award, it is now time to formally present you with the high badge of your accomplishments. Will the honor guard please come forward and present the neckerchief and bolo on the scouts. Thank you, Honor Guard. You may be seated. As these candidates and all Eagles here today know, that earning Eagle is not something that you can do by yourself. It takes a lot of support. It takes the support of your leaders. It takes the support of your fellow scouts, but most importantly, it takes the support of your parents. And no one more should get the honor of being able to present their son with their Eagle badge. Will the parents please step up to the podium there and take the Eagle badge and the pin and present the badge to their son and pin the badge on and pin the medal to their left pocket. In recognition of fatherly advice and guidance along the trail to Eagle, I will ask the Eagle Scouts fathers to now present their sons with their Eagle certificate and personal letter of commendation from the Chief Scout Executives of Boy Scouts of America. Now, Mr. Ed Prentice will read the recognition letter.
This is a letter from the President of the Boy Scouts of America, Randall Stephenson, and the Chief Scout Executive, Michael Serbaugh. And of course, it starts off with Dear Alex, Evan, Ryan, and Spencer. They all have their own letters, of course. Congratulations, you are now an Eagle Scout. In completing all the requirements, you've mastered many valuable skills and made the Scout oath and law part of your life. What you've accomplished is impressive. It's also pretty rare. Fewer than 7 out of every 100 Boy Scouts ever achieve this rank. It means you've dedicated yourself, put in the hours, and most important, found ways to benefit your community. Remember that your name now appears on an exclusive list whose members have excelled in fields from business to government to education. The common trait you all share is leadership. We're counting on you to aim high and continue leading by your service and example. Again, congratulations and best wishes for many more successes.
Thank you very much. I think at this point we should, I think these young men deserve a round of applause for No one will ever know the unnumbered acts of self-sacrifice and helpfulness from the mothers and fathers of these Eagle Scouts, which have led us here today. As a symbol of what a mother and father has made possible, the court will now ask the Eagles to present their mothers and fathers with a miniature eagle pin. Look carefully. There's one that says mom and there's one that says dad. And now maybe I be the first to congratulate these young men on their awards by giving them a Scout handshake. Parents, you may be seated. Except for Mr. Ron Stanky. Ron, would you please give the Eagle charge?
Scouts of all nations make up one of the most wholesome and significant movements in the world's history. You have been judged by the Boy Scouts of America as being worthy of this honor. All who know you rejoice in your achievement. This award, as you will know, is one of honor and responsibility. You're marked men. As an Eagle Scout, you have assumed the solemn obligation to do duty to God, to country, to your fellow Scouts, and to mankind in general. This is a great undertaking. As you live up to your obligations, you bring honor to yourselves and to your brother Scouts. America has many good things to give you and your children after you, but these good things depend, on the most part, on the quality of her citizens. Our country has had a great past. You can help make the future even greater. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with a solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only toward the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold to the highest level of service to God and to your fellow man. So live and serve, that those who know you will be inspired to finer living. I charge you to be among those who dedicate their hearts, hands, skills, and abilities to the common good. Help build America's future by continuing to set an example of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and reverence for God, whatever others may do. You will leave behind you a record of which you may be justly proud. Eagle Scouts, Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout brotherhood holding without reservation and ever before you the ideals of honor and service. By the repetition of the Eagle Scout promise before your fellow members, you will become an Eagle Scout. When you pledge yourself on your sacred honor, you will be sealing your eternal loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout with the same words which close the Declaration of Independence. At this time, I'd ask all Eagle Scouts to come forward, and these guys will step forward. You can make a circle behind them. And we're going to repeat the Eagle Scout promise after me. You'll raise your hand in the Scout sign. You'll repeat your name, not mine, and we'll say the Eagle Scout pledge. And that includes you guys, the new Eagle Scouts. I, Ron Stanky, reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of an Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training an example, and my status and my influence count strongly for better scouting and for better citizenship. In my troop, in my community, and in my contacts with other people. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you. Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan, your conduct along the trail has been excellent. You have rededicated yourselves to the principles of scouting. But one more thing is important, your future. As an Eagle Scout, you become a guide to others. You become an example in your community. Remember that your actions are now a little more conspicuous, and people will and do expect more of you. To falter in your responsibility will not reflect only upon you, but on your fellow Eagle Scouts and all of Scouting. The torch is yours, not only yours to carry, but is also ours. Everyone can please have a seat with the exception of the Scouts. Thank you.
May I congratulate you again, and I remind you that this scouting, may I remind you that scouting should now become an even greater tie between sons and parents, binding you even more closely as a family. To you, Eagle Scout Evan, Alex, Spencer, and Ryan, I express confidence that you will honor Scouting with your life and service as today Scouting honors you. That God may bless you and make you a blessing in our prayers. At this point, I would like to bring up Evan. Evan, Alex, and Spencer and Ryan will be handing out their mentor pins. I think Evan will begin first.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. So I'm going to just take a minute to thank the people who have really been there for me throughout my scouting career, and I would like to start with Mr. Bartos, our MC. So Mr. Bartos was my second Scoutmaster for Troop 310, and I just find him just really enthusiastic and just really just like you want him around. If you're going to be doing something like camping or hiking, Mr. Bartos is there. Like, he will just make it seem like the best thing ever. So if you don't really like hiking because it's like exercise or whatever, bring Mr. Bartos. He'll encourage you all the way, and who knows, maybe you'll just go more miles than you think you actually intend to. And I know that has happened once, so. When I first joined Troop 310, I was kind of shy and not really out there. And then a couple years into it, I was elected patrol leader, and I am not the best person to be leading a group of kids because I'm not really like bossy, and I don't like to tell people what to do. And Mr. Bartos recognized this, and a lot of times on campouts, he would have to give me helpful suggestions. Like, he might notice I might be telling somebody, hey, can you please go do the dishes? And they'll be like, but everybody else is gonna go swimming. And it's like, I don't wanna be stuck here by myself. Well, maybe instead of just telling them to do something, you could just ask them to help you with it. Of course, Mr. Bartos would have to first recognize that I was Evan and not Alex. Yesterday when we were setting up, I was walking around and he looked at me and he was like, hey Alex, you're the main planner of this, right? And I was just like, yes. And I just let it be. I just didn't correct him or anything. I was just like, that's fine. You've been doing it for years. When Alex and I first joined the troop, I was the only one with glasses, so that's how he told us apart. And now we just kind of ruined that. But thank you, Mr. Bartos, for always being there for me, and I'm really glad that I got to do Scouts with you. So next, I would like to thank Mr. Stanky. So Mr. Stanky, if you are working on something, Eagle rank, rank advancement, merit badges, and if he knows about it, he will bother you about it. So you might be like, hey, Mr. Stanky, I just started my Eagle paperwork. And he'll be like, great, this is all the stuff you need to do. And I was just like, all right, you broke it down. This seems easy. I can do it. Next time I see him, hey, Evan, what'd you get done? Nothing. It's like, okay, well, you got to get this done by next month. All right, sweet. Week later, what'd you do? Nothing. I still didn't do anything. And I know that he doesn't like do it to make you feel bad. He just wants you to get on top of things and stuff, which he really got me on top of things. But eventually I just felt so bad for like having Mr. Stanky come up to me and is like, can I help you with what's next? And I'd just be like, you know what, I haven't even done what you first told me to do. That he really got the ball rolling for me, not just on my Eagle Scout paperwork, but also on a lot of rank advancement things. So I probably would not be standing here today if it wasn't for Mr. Stanky, because I would honestly probably still be working on my Eagle Scout paperwork right now. So next, I'd like to thank Mr. Crane, our current Scoutmaster. So I'd say Mr. Crane, overall, he's made us more, he's made me more active, I think, in the troop. He's provided a lot of activities for the troop to do. If you don't know Mr. Crane very well, or really anybody in Troop 310, almost all of us have or still play Magic the Gathering. And Mr. Crane, he's the one who first got me into it, and it's just really fun to spend more time with the troop. You know, he invited us to a tournament actually here in this church one time. He's had get-togethers at his house. So he really brought me into the troop with that. He's also just been an awesome scoutmaster. You know, like he's a lot like Mr. Bartos in the fact that he's always in it. He's always there. So if you need an adult leader to help you with anything, or you want to go do an activity but you don't have enough scout buddies to go with you, if Mr. Crane's not doing something, you can count on him to be there for you. So thank you, Mr. Crane, for being a great scoutmaster. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Crane. She got me into Camp Lewis, which a few people from Troop 310 are also doing. I did Camp Lewis staffing for 4 years, 4 summers. And I taught Cub Scouts just a whole bunch of the basic Boy Scout things like knots, first aid, cooking, and just for fun activities like volleyball. And Mrs. Crane was my ride one of the years that we were going there, my brother and I. And we got to work alongside her last summer too, actually, and she just made it really fun for me, and she made it so that I just was a better role model. She just made it seem like, hey, I noticed you're doing this with the kids, but maybe try to like seem more enthusiastic. I thought I was pretty enthusiastic, but you know, you can always add some more in there. And so it was just really great to work with her. And then the year she carpooled us there, on the way back from Camp Lewis, we would always turn up the music and car dance to things like Amish Paradise and Billy Joel. And I still don't know who Billy Joel is, by the way. But so, yeah. So it was really fun getting to spend time with Mrs. Crane, and I love that she gave me an opportunity to give back to the scouting community and encourage other scouts to continue into Boy Scouts. And lastly, I would like to thank my parents who have been with me on this since the beginning, so 7th grade, Tiger Scouts. So they've both just really pushed me a lot to get things done. They both just sacrificed so much time. My mom, when we were Cub Scouts, she was our den leader, and if she did not do that, then I probably wouldn't have even gone through Cub Scouts because we wouldn't have had a den to do all of our activities with. They both went on as much of the campouts as they could. I think my mom went on practically all of them, and my dad went when he could. So they've just really been there for me the whole time. They've given me 100%, and it's just really nice that they made it happen for me. A lot like the adult leaders in our troop, they went with me to everything I did. If I was going to BB guns, they'd be there, probably especially my dad. He would be there. If I was going to an activity I particularly don't like to do, like arts and crafts, they would be there and they would help me get through that. A lot of times they would just practically tell me what to do because I'd just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to make things. So yeah, they've been there all the time, pushing me, telling me how I can get things done. If I go to like a summer camp, they'd be like, hey, I noticed on your merit badge schedule that you have like a 2-hour break in between these 2 merit badges. They'll be like, why don't you do communications? That's an Eagle required merit badge. You could easily get it done at summer camp. So they just really made sure that I got things done while also having fun and maximizing my time. And something in particular my mom started to tell me, and this is just a funny thing, when I joined Troop 310 and we actually started doing overnight camps. I'd be like, hey mom, you want to go to Merriweather or Parsons with me? And she'd just be like, you know I'm there for you unless I have to pack a shovel. So I love my parents very much. They have been there for me just my whole life, and I probably would not be here today if it wasn't for them. And just yeah. And to close it off, I would like to give my mentor pin to my mom. So I don't know when I'm supposed to give that to her, but.
Hello, mine's definitely not going to be as long as my brother's. That was quite a thing. We were just talking over there like, hey, it's a little overboard, isn't it? I mean, what did you do? All right, so first of all, I'd just like to thank everybody that supported me over the last 10 years in scouting, whether it was through donations and helping me fundraise things for scouting events or helping me with my rank advancement. Mr. Crane, Mr. Bartos, thank you so much for all of your dedication and effort as my Scoutmasters these past years. I would like to thank Mr. Stanky for all of his guidance and him just assisting me in my Eagle Scout project and helping me get that done. It was kind of difficult, but he made it a lot easier. I would also like to thank both of my parents for their support and encouragement. Finally, I've chosen someone close to me as my Eagle mentor. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the help and guidance I have received from my brother, Evan. If it wasn't for Evan's enthusiasm for scouting, I wouldn't have been able to finish the final rank in scouting, the Eagle Scout. Evan was great at deciding what merit badges, what he wanted to do at summer camp, and when he was going to do them and when. Personally, I didn't really put a lot of effort into that. I just followed my brother around and did whatever he did. So, Evan even learned the essential knots so that I didn't have to. Whenever we went to Camporee, I'd be, hey, Evan, do that. I'm gonna go over here and do something else, because, he was better at the knots than I was, and they're difficult. After Evan had finished his Eagle project, I knew that I had to start mine and get it really going. Watching Evan go through the process made it less daunting to me. For a great while, I was reluctant to do the Eagle badge because I was afraid that it would be too hard or I wouldn't be able to do it, and it just seemed kind of like a lot. But after seeing how easily he got through the process, I figured if he could do it, I could too. And there was no way that he was going to become an Eagle Scout and I wasn't. Thank you, Evan, for being a great scouting role model. You have given me much support through our scouting careers. I know you may not know because I don't say it a lot, but I love you, bro.
Hi everyone, I'm Spencer. I hope you know me, but if you don't, that's who I am. So there's a few people I'd like to thank over this long journey of, I don't even know how many years it's been. So first off, thank you everyone who helped in my Eagle project. It wouldn't have happened without you. Second, I'd like to thank my parents. They've been there since the beginning, like the very, very beginning before Scouts. and they've always been a huge influence on me. Next, I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Crane. They've always been part of my scouting journey from, I don't even know, when I was a Tiger Cub probably, so 10 plus years. Next, I'd like to thank Mr. Davis for always helping me get all my paperwork done and all my merit badges figured out. I really appreciate it. And then Mr. Starbuck, he's not here, but he was my first Boy Scout leader, and he really was an influence. Also Mrs. Hogan, who isn't here, but she also played that role. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Bartos. They've been there since also the beginning of my Boy Scout adventure, and Mr. Bartos always catching the bad guys at camp. And then I'd like to also thank all the other parents who helped keep the troop running. This wouldn't be possible without you. And then just obviously all the other scouts who always went camping and adventures with all of us. And finally, who I'd like to give my Eagle Mentor pin to is Mr. Stanky. He kind of dragged me through this, kicking and screaming, but we made it. I don't think I would have completed this without him. He would always give me the weekly phone call or text or email. So where are we sitting at and how much have you gotten done yet? My usual response would be something like Evan's, where, well, it's not coming that well yet. But we made it and I really appreciate it, so I'd like to present this to you.
Okay, here. So, I have a few that we got written down here, and I want to just kind of like throw out like the pre-announcement. It's not gonna be as in depth as some other thank yous that have gone on here, and kind of medium length. So just heads up, heads up. And so, there are a lot of leaders that have been over my scout career that have made impacts. Both ones that I appreciate at the time and ones that I can look back on and being like, they really helped. Like, it's been a long journey. So, like all the assistant scoutmasters that helped me on Trail of First Class, and this was way back when, we had like a 50-miler canoe trip way back when. That's kind of when we really pushed out our entire group into getting first class. And someone's made a really big impact on me are Mr. Donaldson, Lauren Olson, Mr. Rasmussen, Mr. Crowd, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Barkos, and Mr. Blankenship. And first class is kind of like that point, like if you get past first class, you're floating. So like you have got the momentum down and you've had your fair share of scouting at that point. And a lot of the events at like summer camp and stuff, you have to be like a certain like kind of rank to know that you can, you're kind of capable of handling some of the other activities and stuff, right? So getting to first class, it's a really fun experience. Actually, it's where you can learn a lot of the basic skills, and it's aimed at your base development. And it was really nice to have those people backing me up when sometimes I wasn't the most excited to learn these skills. So they were a huge help in me getting here. The merit badge counselors, I'm sometimes not the most on top of things, or I will have like 50 what are called blue cards out, which is when you start a merit badge, and I'll have like 50 out for like the same one and just never complete them. But what's nice is when you have like someone to help you out, or someone to like kind of lead you through it, or someone you can like get signed off and are continuing on with it. And these people are the ones that like get you to your required number of merit badges for Eagle Scout and other activities. And so Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Rasmussen, Mr. Donaldson, Mrs. Donaldson, Lauren Olson, Mr. Johnson, and Mrs. Hart. The merit badges are where you have your like fundamental skills are, let's say like your ranks, and the merit badges are your more like specialized skill sets, right? These people really kept me engaged or were really helping and understanding as I worked towards these merit badges, and it was really helpful to see that and get that help. My board review, Mr. Bartos, Mr. Davis, Mrs. Bartos, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Crane. It's just nice to see the leadership in the troop and how, it changes as years go by, people grow up and some leadership changes, right? But in Troop 310, the leadership is always good. We are getting constant good assistant scoutmasters and scoutmasters, and everything is really upbeat from whatever we do. So it's nice to get that adult leadership. When I know I've heard some troops just don't have it, so it's really special what we have here. And then a lot of people have talked about their Eagle project, right? My Eagle project was building a lot of picnic tables, and I had a lot of help with that. We actually got it done in like basically 2 days. But Mike Benson, Mr. Don Campbell, my mom and dad. It was one of those things that it was like another like homework assignment that I kind of gave to myself, and I was like, oh man, this is really gonna sting in the long run. But they helped me really break it down. They, instead of me thinking like a homework assignment, they actually kind of turned it into like school. So instead of having to do like one giant thing, it was more like go to 3 separate classes and have 3 separate assignments, and just kind of broke it down for me, easier for me to understand and digest. So thank you. We got the Scoutmasters. I had Mr. Starbuck, Mr. Bartos, and Mr. Crane, and they're like the central force that drives the troop forward as the head leader, and all 3 were really great in kind of encouraging me and kind of like checking in, and a lot of acceptance. So it's pretty nice. And finally, my mom and my dad and my family. They really helped me stick with it, even when sometimes it was really hard to. My mom's not as active in scouting as my dad, and so it's nice having a balance of being able to go home and have another like opinion and not having the full-fledged Eagle Scout 24/7 like project focus. So a lot of these people have commented about having a weekly email. I would like to just think about the possibility of having that person live in your house and then have a constant reminder to finish your project. It's something else. So having my mom and my dad there was really, really helpful. And so the main pin, I'm just gonna give it to my dad because there's a lot of other people, that kind of like fit my internal qualifications for my pin assignment. But my dad is the one who got me going on Scouts. He's the one that kept me in it. Showed me the really cool stuff when I was feeling really burned out of some of the other events that were like happening yearly. And I was like, I felt like I seen it, but he always showed me the more interesting side, kept on introducing me to new people, and really kept me involved enough to keep my interest fatigued. So, it's really helpful. So, the Eagle pin goes to my dad. Thanks. And as like a final statement, for those that I thank, we do have, like I have pins that we picked up as really a reminder because sometimes my effort wasn't always at like 100%. And so for the extra boost that everyone else like gave me and kind of kept me going when sometimes like it was really hard, you guys really deserve a huge thank you. So we do have pins, so just you guys can come up or I can like hand them out later. So sweet.
Okay, boys. By virtue of your earning the Eagle Award, you are now eligible to become members of the National Eagle Scout Association. Your troop and parents have enrolled you in a membership in the association. Also, if people in the crowd today aren't familiar, our troop started in 2006 and they decided to display who our Eagle Scouts are by these wonderful plaques. I'll just kind of show you. This is the first one that started with the troop, and it's kind of a nice presentation, so all of the boys who are going to be Eagles soon can see their name, or what will be their name eventually, on a plaque like this, and all of the boys who have earned their Eagle with the troop have their names and the dates that they were recognized as Eagle Scouts on these plaques. So if you guys want to look later, you can to see all the boys' names and dates that they earned the Eagle rank later. Okay, just so you guys know too, we have 27 Eagle Scouts now in the troop. Evan is number 23, Alex is 24, Ryan is 25, and Spencer is the most recent Eagle Scout at number 27. So congratulations, boys. At this time, I would like to have Dr. Lako from the Ridgefield American Legion and Ozzy, Josh, and Connor come forward, and they'll present the American flag.
Briefly, the American Legion is a veterans organization, and we're all about Americanism, youth, and community. Post 44 values our support of Boy Scout Troop 310 over all these years. I am proud to bring certificates of recognition from Washington and national commanders of the American Legion for Evan, Alex, and Spencer, and Ryan.
Thank you, Dr. Lako. I congratulate you as Eagle Scouts. The eagle soars high and seeks to rest only upon the loftiest peaks. As Eagle Scouts, you too must soar high. You must not swerve from the path of duty. Your ideals must be lofty. You must strive to obtain that which is noblest and highest in life. I present to you Eagle Scouts Evan Prentice, Alex Prentice, Spencer Crabb, and Ryan Stanke. Will Mr. Lauren Joner please come forward and give the benediction?
Please pray with me as we close the ceremony this afternoon. Lord God, we're reminded that as you taught in the New Testament of the Bible, that all of Scripture can be boiled down into two seemingly simple concepts that are to love you with all of our heart and to love others more than we love ourselves. And thank you for the correlation that we've seen this afternoon in the lives of these young men in their attempts to love you and to serve and love others more than they love themselves. And so help us as we close this ceremony to celebrate them and to demonstrate our love to them. Help us to love them more than we love ourselves as we continue this afternoon, and to do so not for ultimately all of our benefit, so that you receive the glory. And we pray that you receive the glory in the name of your Son. Amen.
Could I please get all uniformed scouts to come and form a line or circle behind our new Eagles? So we're going to do Scout best first. So I'd like the audience to please rise. Take your right hand, put it over your left hand, and join hands with the person next to you. The words are in the back of your program if you need it. Okay. They have asked, the Eagles have asked if we could please have the honor guard escort them and their parents to the back. They want to make sure that they get the first piece of cake. I think they're doing that maybe next door. Ozzy LaSalle, could you please come forward? And for the scouts that are remaining, once the flags are on their way out, the other scouts will follow the flag. Ozzy?
Color guard, attention. May the audience please rise. Color guard, forward march. All prepare to retrieve the colors. Retrieve the colors. Bow. Face. Skyline salute. 2. Color guard, forward march.